Hey, Sataniko here for Godlovescomics, and we're continuing with part 3 of the Ode to Kirihito reading by Osamu Tezuka. This is chapter 10, Approach to Glory. 35th General Medical Conference, comprising 60 panels, was to begin on October 15th at T University. The conference committee was part of the Japan Medical Association, but doctors who weren't JMA members could register to attend, as the name implied. The meeting gathered the top brains of the Japanese medical community. The presentations were mailed out to a global audience, guaranteeing fame and recognition. Dr. Tatsugura had banished Kirihito Asanai for joining the Young Doctors League, but nothing could be further from his mind now. He was too busy preparing his report on Monmal disease. It was somehow finished on time, but at the price of wrecking the nerves of Dr. Urabe, of the First Department of Internal Medicine. You have an early morning tomorrow, Doctor. Why not get to bed and leave the rest to the junior staff? I can't do that, Mr. Yoshinaga. If anything goes wrong, I'll never live it down. Of course, it's a very important presentation. I'm sure your hypothesis that Monmal disease is extremely virulent will create shockwaves overseas. It's not an hypothesis! But you haven't identified the pathogen, have you? I didn't expect such negativity from my own campaign manager. We have concrete proof, the route of contagion from Asanai to the patient in room 66. Besides, I've managed to get permission to exhibit the patient in room 66 during my presentation. The disappearance of the other patient, Helen, was certainly a blow. Yes. That's for sure. I guess it was callous of me to attempt to display a woman like that in public. The police still haven't located her. But yet, it's only a matter of time. She's hardly inconspicuous. Tagaki! The plate with Helen Freeze's oral mucous membrane sample is missing. Oops. What a blunder. I suppose there were other oversights too. Slide. Slam. I wish Dr. Urabe was here. It's his absence that's making the boss so irritable. He picked a poor time to get sick. Now we've really got to hustle. Tatsugura trying to calm his nerves before his big presentation. Dr. Naito, what is it? Director, please come immediately. It's the patient in room 66. What about him? Spit it out. Tagaki, you handle the rest. I'm going to the hospital. Hurry! Really clever panel layout there by Osamu Tezuka. And more. He has cyanosis and his blood pressure is severely low. We've given him a camphor injection, but he's on oxygen. This is the Taiwanese, the very corrupt, rich Taiwanese boss man who ended up contracting Monmal disease, probably from Dr. Asanai himself, and now he's suffering his fate. I want you to do everything you can to keep him alive. Why weren't you able to foresee this, eh? Unacceptable. I'm terribly sorry. It happened all of a sudden, just like with the other patient. Oh, he's dead. What a disaster. That's how it goes. You did everything you could, Dr. Tatsugura. The patient couldn't have asked for any better. I wanted to keep him alive. Today is a very important day. I'll be publicizing the disease worldwide. I absolutely needed him for my presentation. At least allow us to publish his autopsy. I can't permit that. Soon as his death is confirmed, the body will be shipped back to Taiwan. But it's M University's responsibility to perform the autopsy and record the results. The agreement with Dr. Liang of Taipei University was purely for treatment. We never consented to any post-mortem arrangements. Dr. Liang and I went to med school together. I'll telephone Taipei and get his consent. I'm afraid I can't allow that. The patient made his wishes very clear. He wanted his body shipped home immediately. Is that so? I see of all the boneheaded. Forgive me. I shouldn't have said that. Excuse us. We need to prepare for a departure. Cripes! My presentation today revolves around having a patient to exhibit. What will I do? What will I? Yoshinaga, I'm in a real jam. The patient in room 66 is dead. There are only 9 hours left for my presentation. Is there any time for a rewrite? This is terrible. What a pickle. Oh my. Can we reschedule? The slot after yours is Dr. Shiba's presentation on research on axemic cultures of Shiba's disease and its type B myomoxite. Shall I have slots switched? Either way, it's only a matter of time. The problem remains. By the way, if you asked if there's been any news of Helen Freeze, I called the police and they've located her. She's taken refuge in Santa Maria Church in Kashiminachi. A church? Is that so? Very good. That's wonderful. If I can display Sister Helen as originally planned, I won't have nearly as much revising to do. Trouble is, the church is refusing to hand her over. What? She's petitioned them for asylum. A church is a church, and the police aren't willing to take them on. Can't you persuade them? Tell them it's for medicine. I'll go there now and have a word with the priest. Please do. Let me know if you succeed. I'll be rewriting my manuscript. You sound tired, Doctor. I feel a bit dizzy. Please take a rest. You're pushing yourself too much. Out of the question. As if I could sleep at a time like this. His chair creaks as he leans back in it. Sleep deprivation is definitely taking its toll. Pharmacy, mix me some headache medicine and bring it to my office. Yes, doctor. Now what? None of the pharmacists are here. Headache medicine? Wait, I have an idea. Uh-oh. Hope it's not the special... It is the special tonic. The special headache tonic water that I do believe the Taiwanese big boss was taking when he contracted Mon-Mal disease. Oh, the delicious irony. Here, found them at the first department. Folk medicine. It's a special tonic. If we switch the bottles, nobody will know. This contains 3 doses. Thank you. Headache remedy, wisdom water. That's exactly it. Not good. And that was a short chapter. So, on to chapter 11. Helen of Freeze. Well, that title said Helen of Freeze. This is Helen Freeze, of course. But they're making a play on Helen of Troy. The bell is ringing within the church where Helen is now asked for asylum. And there's Helen. It's me, sister. Is it morning already? It's dawn. We just rang the 6 o'clock bells. I actually have a visitor, a Mr. Yoshinaga. I don't know anyone by that name. Please, Father, don't let anyone take me away. Of course the church will protect you. I've done my best to turn the police away, but you need medical care. You're ill. Mr. Yoshinaga has a doctor with him, a man called Urabe. Dr. Urabe? He says he's your designated physician. What shall I tell them? I don't want to see him. I won't. Please tell him to go away. I'm very sorry. She doesn't want to see you. I'm afraid I must ask you to leave. But this is an emergency. Dr. Urabe is taking great pains to come here. I don't even know if Dr. Urabe is with him. Oh, there he is. Please, Father, it's of the utmost importance. I can't force her. She has a right to refuse, even if he is her doctor. Then we're wasting her time. Dr. Urabe, I'm sorry to have disturbed you when you weren't feeling well. Urabe not feeling well was having his crazed episode once he realized that Helen was missing. Now that he's found her, he seems to still be in somewhat of that state, but he's probably a lot calmer. And, well, calmer. There he goes, racing up the stairs right past everyone. Doctor, stop! Click. And there he is. And there she is, terrified, as usual. Because he is both her physician, he is sympathetic to her cause, and he is a rapist. Helen, go away! Get out! I don't want to talk to you. Helen, please listen. Dr. Urabe! Thump, thump. Helen, after I got back, I stayed home every day. Do you know what I was doing? I was thinking about you. You're a wolf in lamb's clothing. May the Lord forgive you, you wretched hypocrite. Say what you will. I regret what I did the other night. I've been meaning to apologize. Apologize? I saw your eyes the next day during my examination. You didn't look sorry. I've had enough of your lies. I know it's unforgivable for a doctor to do that to a patient. But, Helen, I have to tell you how I feel. It weighs too heavily on my heart. I love you, Helen. What? And she seems taken aback and almost happy, then amused, then just laughter. You're having fun with me. You think I'd run in here and lock the door just to jest? Helen, how was I to take off my doctor's mask in that stuffy hospital room with the eyes of the medical staff on me? The day you rebuked me for, I was with Dr. Tatsugura, and nothing more than a medical chart and a white coat. That's how we're trained at a university hospital. We've been together since Africa. We were wounded together. We lay side by side and comforted one another. I need you. That evening, Dr. Tatsugora urged me to marry a certain woman. I'm the only person you know in this country. He urged me to marry the fiancé of my best friend, Dr. Asanai. I've told you about him. But that night, she tried to poison herself. I came unglued. I lost my senses completely. I thought that if I went to you, I could find myself again. I wanted to tell you how I felt. That I wanted you. I think she's starting to break down a little bit and believe him again. It's all right if you don't believe me. What's this face? You're in love with this face? Since you mentioned your disease, I found evidence that Monmao isn't contagious. I found the key in a commercial medicine that I had in the medical faculty analyze. I believe that Monmao is caused by the oral consumption of a toxic substance present in the water. I went deep into the mountains of Shikoku and collected samples of rock that I thought would contain the substance. Then I heard about your disappearance, and in my surprise, I left without the rocks. I still had 2 or 3 stones in my pocket, though. Upon my return, I set to work trying to extract the substance. Of course, I couldn't use the labs at the university or the medical faculty. I took sick leave and holed up in a friend's laboratory. We're still in the process of extracting the substance. There's only a tiny quantity, so it's not easy, but I'm confident that if we find it, it'll be a major discovery. If nothing else, it'll be a clue as to how we might be able to restore you to how you used to look. I'm determined to do this for you. I won't give up, even if it takes me 10 years, 20 years. If I find a cure, I hope you'll take it as a token of my sincerity. Please come back to the hospital. Trust me. I don't want to lose you now. I think the last time we saw the clock, it was 3 o'clock maybe on the face of the M University, and now it is 9 o'clock, and Tatsugora took his headache medicine and has been fast asleep, face down. Who knows what it'll look like when his face pops up. Still normal, but he realized he overslept. Oh no! Conference on Contagious Diseases, Special Presentations, Inquiry into Infectiousness of Monmao Disease, Research on Axemic Cultures of Shiba's Disease and its Type B Myxomycete, Symposium Effectiveness of Smallpox Vaccinations. And they're looking at the pamphlets and murmuring amongst themselves, and there's no Tatsugora. Mr. Yoshinaga, it's me, Tatsugora. He's still not back, I see. Give me Mr. Harada of the Bureau. What's that? He's already headed for the venue? Oh dear. You have no way of contacting him? And apparently Urabe has convinced her of his sincerity. For now. Good God. Well, let's see. Dr. Tatsugora, Dr. Urabe managed to persuade Helen. She's agreed to return to the hospital. They just stepped out of the church. Good God! Have Urabe talked her into answering my presentation now, into appearing at my presentation now. I'm afraid there's no hope of that. We just barely managed to convince her to come back with us. But maybe, when we get back to the hospital, perhaps you could give it a try, Doctor. I see. Fine. Then I'll give it a try. Elated and celebrates by drinking the rest of the wisdom water. Not a good decision. And Urabe and Helen exit the church, and she's wearing a veil. Back in room 66, Dr. Urabe, I'm eternally indebted. Please let me know if there's anything. As a matter of fact, I'd like you to officially ask you for Izumi's hand. I'd like to officially ask you for Izumi's hand. Really? I want to marry her. Well, that's a bizarre twist. Who's getting inoculated now, Tatsugura? Would you like to take some medicine? Nope, I'm feeling great. Best I've felt all month. I have a feeling things will go well today. Dr. Tatsugura? Mr. Yoshinaga, thank you for everything. Urabe, I'm particularly grateful for your efforts. That's right, if it hadn't been for Dr. Urabe, on the way here he convinced her to appear in your presentation. I don't know how to thank you. That means a great deal to me, sir. How did you convince her? She must have been terribly reluctant. Well, the time we spent in the hospital together in Africa. She'd been contemplating suicide. I spoke to her of Jesus. I told her that she was being tested, and she had to suffer like Jesus. Very insidious. Well, I didn't know you were a Christian. I'm not. But she's truly a pious nun, and she took what I said very seriously. I see. I was wasting my time trying to persuade her with arguments about medicine and scholarship. I'll stay by her side today and keep her spirits up. Sister Helen, it's almost time. She's all changed and ready. Poor thing, she's trembling. Be brave. Trust me now. Well, that's terrifying. Jam-packed hall with doctors, and she has to appear as, again, sort of the freak of the show. In this case, the muscles usually experience regular involuntary spasms. The contraction of the striated muscle groups in the arms and legs lead to continual cramping. What a crowd. This place is packed. Highest turnout ever. Everyone wants to hear the boss's presentation. It's quite the sensational topic. There are quite a few foreigners even. Dr. Urabe still hasn't arrived. When this is over, we can finally get some sleep. I don't know if I can last that long. The patient still isn't here? Oh my. Well, I'll be on any minute now. So she's decided to keep me sweating until the very last. They're probably stuck in traffic. I need to confer with Urabe before I go on. Dr. Tatsugura, Dr. Mannheim, the world authority on filterable infectious diseases, is in the audience. Why don't you introduce yourself? Not just now. The speech is still in progress. There, at the end of the 10th row, from the right. Ah, yes. Also, I know this is hardly the appropriate time to tell you, but Dr. Urabe has agreed to marry my daughter. Has he now? Well, that's good news. Have you told your wife? Not yet. I've been too busy. I'll call her now. Hello? Oh, it's you. How is Azumi? Dr. Urabe said yes to you know what. I know. What? That's right. Dr. Urabe called her himself. He did? At around 9 this morning. 9 a.m.? But that was when Dr. Urabe was talking to Helen. I don't like it. Why did Dr. Urabe call Izumi? You made the offer. He should have called you. He really called at 9? That's odd. That would mean he spoke with our daughter when he was in the room with Helen Freeze. I was with them both before and after that. Why would he do such a thing? Oh, it looks like Dr. Urabe's arrived. I'll call you again later. Dr. Urabe! You had us worried. We were afraid that something had happened to Helen at the last minute. She almost fainted several times in the car. Please try to understand how she feels. Sister Helen, I'm very grateful for you. Let's find a spot for you two to rest. Phew. Now we're ready to roll. Look how pleased the boss is. Towering foreigner, appears to be German, Dr. Mannheim. Dr. Mannheim. Guten Morgen, Dr. Tatsugura. I'm very pleased to meet you. I saw you at the World Conference on Infectious Diseases in Munich, but I'm afraid I didn't have the chance to introduce myself. Dr. Tatsugura, there is great interest in my country, in others all over the world, about Monmouth disease, the subject of your presentation. I flew to Africa myself to investigate the cases there. In the end, I was unable to identify the pathogen or the infection route. I'm looking forward to hearing the evidence you will be providing. Dankeschön. In my opinion, Monmouth isn't an infectious disorder. I can provide counter evidence too. Blank balloon. Dr. Tatsugura of M University, it's time for your presentation. Dr. Tatsugura? This is it, Doctor. Next, Dr. Tatsugura of M University Hospital will present his inquiry into infectiousness of Monmouth disease. We at M University have maintained close contact with the village of Doggadale in order to study the disorder known as Monmouth disease, of which there are 223 recorded cases in that region of Myoshi County, Tokushima Prefecture. The village promised to send any new cases to our hospital immediately. Slide. September 22nd of last year, when patient Y came under our care, he had already developed these unique symptoms, and it was almost impossible to check the disease's process. We continued to treat his symptoms, but he died on October 2nd. This was taken approximately 10 days before his death. Age 58, male. Pre-existing conditions, slight chest, X-ray shadow. Genetic diseases, none. Family, wife, 3 sons, 1 daughter. Next slide, please. This is the left arm of patient Y. As you can see, there was drastic atrophy of the long bones as well as the abnormal growth of body hair. Mom. She's hearing this presentation. There, doctor. This full-body X-ray shows how the atrophy is less severe in the spinal column and the pelvic bones, but the deformation of the skull and the lower facial bones is pronounced, as is cartilage degeneration. The patient comes to resemble a carnivorous mammal skeletally with dog-like facial features. The residents of Dogadale are almost completely isolated from their neighbors. Blood relatives don't intermarry, but these villages are extremely territorial. Mon-mal disease has existed there for ages, but was dealt with internally without exposing it to the outside world. Meanwhile, among the indigenous peoples of the South African nation of Rhodesia, Mon-mal is being transmitted. There are rare outbreaks. In certain regions, the afflicted tribes, such as the Hottentots and the Bushmen, are similar to the villagers of Dogadale in that they retain a primitive lifestyle cut off from the civilization, keeping the disease secret from the outside world. Why did these rare and extremely similar diseases emerge in 2 separate insular locales? The obvious explanation would be that they were mutations resulting from the intermarriage. However, having observed the course of the disease and its sudden onset to the death of the patient, it is clear this is clearly not the case. Moreover, there is evidence that the disease can spread to a third party. In other words, a visitor with no blood ties to the group. One such case is that of a Caucasian woman who developed the disease while living among an indigenous tribe in southern Rhodesia. She has been gracious enough to agree to appear among us today in the interest of medical inquiry. Now, Helen, go on. No, I can't. Come now, be strong. Read it now, doctor. Then the soldiers stripped him and put on a scarlet robe, and when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him, and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They spit upon him, and took the reed, and smote him on his head. And after that, they had mocked him. They took the robe off of him, and put on his own raiment, led him away to the cross. And when they were there, they came unto a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of the skull. Obviously reading a biblical account of what happened to Jesus before his crucifixion, and that is really breaking her down because she feels an obligation. And there we go. A lot of religious symbolism in this entire graphic novel, which I guess Tezuka was fascinated with or interested with and probably did a fair amount of research for, and made Sister Helen into a Catholic nun. And the murmurs and the whispers and occasionally some laughter, and her tears flow and the eyes are gaping and wide open, fascinated. Oh, and even worse, "Please remove your dress." Hush. Lord, give me strength. "18 months ago, On March 27, 1969, the patient was sent to the Date mine in the upper Limpopo River region of Rhodesia, where there are numerous Kwane Kurale cases among the indigenous people who work as miners. Dr. Urabe of our medical faculty personally observed more than 10 cases. Amazing illustration here again. Tezuka has reduced the entire crowd to just eyeballs. Just glaring, giant eyeballs. You know, which is just the genius of Tezuka. And now, gape-jawed, gawking caricatures, faces, including a pig's head. Turn around, please. Very good. Now the front again. On October 15th, 1969, the disease took hold and the patient experienced sharp pains in all 4 limbs, as well as Meniere's syndrome. Prior to this, the patient had direct contact with the victims of Kwane Kurale, although she cannot remember the exact dates. She also admits that she had a small laceration on her leg at the time, and that she touched it with her hand. And this is Azumi, who is, I guess, coming to M University now to see a Urabe. Or, let's see. When will Dr. Tatsugura's speech end? Can't say. Should be at least another half hour. Go on in if you like. No, thank you. I'll just wait out here. She came to Japan on August 9th and was admitted to M University Hospital. The disease had already stopped progressing prior to her arrival. In other words, her condition is distinctive in that the disease ran its course and left her physically deformed, but without terminating in cardiac debility and respiratory paralysis. Down on all fours, please. Excuse me? I want to illustrate the relative stunting of your arms and legs. Well, this couldn't be more humiliating. You want me to crawl? That's right. But I never agreed to that. Well, I won't force you. But now she imagines Urabe in her head, sternly reminding her of Jesus' suffering. Does anyone know you're here? Mother saw me go out, but I gave her a story. Did she find out about the phone call? No, everything's fine. How about Daddy? He's listening to the director's speech. It was unbearable watching him draw his wild conclusions from that incomplete report. I want to hear more about the plan you mentioned on the phone. I pretend to be engaged. It'll give us an excuse to see each other more often. Otherwise, your parents and the director will get suspicious. And then what? The 2 of us search for a Sanai. We know he wound up in Taipei with a face like that. There's bound to be a trail. We'll go to Taiwan. We find a Sanai. We do everything we can to make him better. There's always plastic surgery, you know. Then he can show his face at the hospital and confront Dr. Tatsugura. The 2 of you can finally be married. But why do we have to be so secretive? Don't you have any pride? No, you don't understand. And this creepoid is apparently listening in. In a hospital, seniority talks. You can't contradict your superiors. You have to be externally loyal to them. And what if you rebelled and spoke your mind? I'd be demoted or perhaps even completely ostracized. So we have to deceive Daddy and Dr. Tatsugura? Deceive? It's not a nice word, but yes, I suppose so. It's the only plan I can think of. You're always so sneaky. I think we should take our stand openly. But I'd be ruined for one thing. I don't know if I could defy the director. What have we here? It's a guy who likes to sell information, and he's got some juicy information, I should say. This Urabe doctor, the rich young girl, and the missing dog-faced man. I knew that if I tailed them, something interesting would come up. There may be money in this. Big money. So their engagement is just a ruse. Bet I could shake things up by threatening to expose them. I'm sure that girl has plenty of access to Daddy's money. Of course, I'll have to watch out for that old crone. Patient X, who was entrusted to our care by Taipei University, is believed to have been infected through contact with Patient Z, who journeyed to Taiwan from Japan for certain reasons. The contact consisted of a lesion inflicted by Patient Z's fingernails on Patient X's neck. The onset of the disease occurred approximately 3 weeks after the lesion was inflicted. This incubation period is similar to that seen in the patients of G, H, and I in Rhodesia, as well as patients B and C from Doggadale. Are there any questions? None? Not a question, not the guy you want to be asking questions. Dr. Mannheim. Dr. Tatsugura? Dr. Tatsugura, your conclusions seem to be based entirely on analogical reasoning. I'm Dr. Mannheim of Frankfurt University. I read Dr. Urabe's report and went to Rhodesia to examine the patients there. I found no consistent evidence of a contagion, and the incubation period seemed to vary from patient to patient. You've arbitrarily decided that Mamao is caused by a filterable pathogen, and you're forcing your data to fall in line with that viewpoint. Without isolating the pathogen or cultivating a pure culture of the virus, there is simply no evidence to conclude that Mamao is infectious. Assuming that Mamao really is a contagious disease, it should be possible to gather data to create a more convincing argument. Do you have any proof that it isn't contagious? Of course not. But I do have some evidence. Take this, for example. Would you be so kind to project this on the slide? Whatever it is, Helen is terrified or shocked. And she faints. Take her to the infirmary. And the crowd is buzzing. The mayor. Dr. Tatsugura. The gentleman in this slide is the abbot of the convent where your patient was cloistered. Oh, okay. What? I ran into a Negro doctor. Who knew where she came from? I met with this abbot. When I asked him about the patient in question, he became extremely agitated. Despite his holy office, the abbot had attempted to put this woman to death. He did it to preserve the honor and repute of the Caucasian race. He confessed to me that he wanted to conceal that such a shameful condition had befallen a white woman. In a white supremacist society like that of South Africa, it was unacceptable to entertain the idea of a white person taking on the appearance of a dog or a cat. Even before her contact with the indigenous tribes, the poor nun had experienced headaches and abnormal cravings. This began right when she first arrived at the convent in Rhodesia. This account clearly conflicts with the incubation period you report. Not only that, it contradicts your claims as to the root of the infection. What I'm driving at is the possibility that the Curale didn't just happen to break out in an indigenous colony. There may already have been quite a few cases among the Caucasian population of the region. But the whites had isolated these patients from society and hidden them away in the darkness in a foolish effort to keep up their appearances. That is all I have to say. Tatsugoro is sweating. He's sweating so much that even his suit is sweating, and he is looking defeated. And Helen having terrible flashbacks to the abbot attempting to kill her. Helen fainted? Helen, pull yourself together. She's having a terrible nightmare. What on earth could it be that's scaring her so? I knew it was a mistake to make her go out there. Doctor, you must be exhausted. That attack from Dr. Mannheim was a surprise, eh? But he didn't have any concrete evidence either, so you needn't worry. It's no good. My speech was a failure. Don't be silly, Doctor. This is just stage 1. Speeches are just speeches. It's really all about the press conference. Wait till 5 this evening. You'll be talking to the press this time, so you'll want to be as bold as possible. Dr. Wada of the cardiac surgery fame achieved his reputation by appealing to the media, you know. All you have to do is come off brimming with confidence. Press conference will be held here in the 2F special conference room of the Amura Hotel. It starts at 5, so we still have an hour. You just rest for the next half hour. I'll see to everything. I appreciate it. My head is just pounding. We want you feeling fresh and fine. This is where the real battle is fought. Looks like the doctor lost a lot of confidence from that confrontation with Dr. Mannheim. The nail that sticks out always gets hammered down. In any case, I've had a word with 5 or 6 very influential reporters who happen to be personal friends, so there won't be any nasty questions. Yes? Well, he just found out something that made him panic as well. And there is a protest. We're not going to take it. Fight the power. Fight the JMA. Dictatorship. This must be the Young Doctors Union, perhaps. Which is what got Osanai ostracized. Save medicine. Throw the boss out. Reform or bust. Down with the JMA. Down with the GMC. Down with the JMA. It's the Young Doctors League protesters. But why are they demonstrating in front of a hotel? They heard that Dr. Tatsugura was holding a press conference here. They're anticipating Dr. Tatsugura's bid for chairmanship of the JMA, and they're trying to interfere by appealing to the media. Morons. We're in a pretty pickle now. The reporters will be here any minute. We're here already. Mr. Kanishi of the Society Gazette, so glad you could make it today. Quite a lively event. I attended their anti-JMA meeting the other day. They voted unanimously to bring down the upcoming election. They seem to be quite determined. It seems they intend to approach the voters one by one to encourage them to abstain. The Gazette seems fairly sympathetic to their cause. No, we're strictly neutral. I heard an interesting rumor from one of their members. A member of the Young Doctors League had been driven out of M University, and that Dr. Tatsugura was behind his expulsion. He's probably talking about Dr. Kirihito Asanai. He said they couldn't disclose anything yet. They're conducting a top-secret investigation. I wouldn't be surprised if they're timing it with Dr. Tatsugura's candidacy for the JMA chairmanship. Of all the... You don't believe that garbage, do you? They say that not only was the doctor driven out, but something terrible was done to him to ensure that he wouldn't reappear. Absolute nonsense. Slanderous. You're trying to get my goat, aren't you? Get your goat? I just thought you ought to be warned. Mr. Okazaki of the Morning Daily and Mr. Kurakawa of the Associated News right this way. How were the speeches at the breakout sessions? Anything good? Yeah, there was a surprise refutation, a direct counter-argument against Dr. Tatsugura's presentation. Doesn't make an article if there's no opposition. If there was the objection of Dr. Ishigaki that made heart transplant articles so easy to write. I went outside to get another shot of the demonstrators, but the police had already chased them away. Here's Dr. Mannheim visiting Helen, of all things. Dr. Mannheim? Shh. How is she? Still unconscious. I've been administering tranquilizers. This is all my fault. I had no idea that the photograph would upset her so. I can't tell you how sorry I am. When she wakes up, at the very least, please tell her this. The abbot at her convent was unable to live with his guilt after confessing his crime to me. He gave himself up to the police. Dr. Mannheim, please wait. Here. It's a copy of my report. Please read it. It's different from the material the director presented today in his speech. What do you mean? You didn't show this to the director? But why? I did show him. He ignored it. That's absurd. I'm familiar with all sorts of university research institutes, but I've never heard of a scholar ordering a study and then ignoring the resulting report. This is just between us. I don't agree with the director's conclusions either. I believe that Monmouth isn't infectious. He's having a good morning, and then here comes someone to interrupt. Dr. Tatsugura, have you seen the papers? It's wonderful, truly wonderful. Yeah, you read all of them. How about that? Talk about a favorable write-up. One went so far as to say the next Nobel Prize in medicine. Mr. Yoshinaga, I owe all of this to your hard work. We've got to keep our winning streak going. The best thing would be to find that pathogen, or even just to lead some sort of... Even if we don't know the direct cause, if we could discover what induces like carcinogens with cancer. Cancer isn't a virus. Yes, of course, doctor. This has really boosted your stock. You can expect a good 70% of the votes now. Makes me glad to be involved. I'm thinking about going to the hospital and checking in on Helen Freeze. I'm going to lie down and have a good sleep for a change. Haha. I've never seen such a smooth and relaxed press conference. No tricky questions. That fellow in front was nodding his head off. That was Mr. Kakuta of the science page of the Hinichi Daily. Normally, he's quite critical. Good morning, Dr. Onigashira. I saw the papers, Dr. Tatsugura. Quite impressive. Your day in the sun has come. Do take good care of yourself. Thank you. Everyone's looking at me different today. Indeed they are. And now I know how Byron felt when he said, I awoke one morning and found myself famous. Big man. Congratulations, sir. The newspapers were so positive. I'm very grateful for all of your support. When things settle down, I'd like to buy everyone a round of drinks. Tagaki, you really put on a lot of work, didn't you? Not at all, sir. Look who's in a good mood. By the way, where's Urabe? I want him to come with me to comfort Helen. I hear she regained consciousness last night. That's a relief. Dr. Urabe is meeting with 5 or 6 men from the Young Doctors League. Shh. They're from the board of the YDL. They came by asking to speak to you this morning. Dr. Urabe went to meet with them on your behalf. What the hell did they want with me? Nothing. I think it was about Dr. Asane. Send them away. I have nothing to say to that lot. Tell Urabe to come back. Dr. Asane's name just vanished from the roster, as if he had never existed. Of course, at that time, Dr. Asane was still in Doggadale. His disappearance came after that. So I suppose it's possible that his disappearance had already been foreseen when his name was rubbed out. That's impossible. Perhaps it's even more insidious. Perhaps Dr. Asane was sent to Doggadale with the intention of getting rid of him. Having him contract Monmouth and disappear was all part of the plan. Stop it, that's enough. I have no idea I worked with Asane, but I don't know anything about this. Then why did you go to Doggadale all alone? I went there to learn about a tonic they sell at the Zabu Hot Spring. But you went all the way up the river valley to Doggadale, and even stopped by the village hall. Actually, we went there too, but that mare's a wily old fox. Dr. Urabe, our goal is to defend Dr. Asane, who was unjustly driven away to dispel the dark fog shrouding his conspiracy. Please help us. After all, you're on Dr. Asane's side too, right? If there were anything I could do, I'd be happy to help. But there's nothing. Now get out and don't come back. We'd like to speak to you again. Maybe when you're feeling better. Leave me alone! Suddenly a completely different side of Urabe, and they're terrified. Great perspective of his hand there. Dr. Urabe, did those tramps go home? What did they want? Urabe, what's wrong? Speak to me. Chapter 12, Necrosis. Never a good thing. Gaosha Tribal Village, Mount Shang, Taiwan. Wonderfully detailed drawing, all these villagers, and all the detail of the thatch huts. And here is Dr. Asanai, still a captive in this village in Taiwan. And Reika, it's you! I was worried. I didn't know what had become of you. I'm sorry. They made me a servant to the village, in the home of the village elder. I wanted to come and see you, but I have a lot of work to do. Everyone's always watching. If you just said a word in my defense, they might let me out of here. I know, but I thought that if they knew I was with you, they'd lock me up here too. I figured that as long as I was out here, I'd be able to rescue you eventually. You're right. By the way, what's all the commotion about? Has something happened? This is your chance to get out of here. An elder is very sick. Sick? Yes, it came on suddenly last night. He's in terrible pain. They summoned a doctor from the Helen port to treat him. What are his symptoms? He vomits a lot afterwards. He feels better for the spell, but then the pain comes back. He doesn't pee at all, nor do his bowels move. Do you know what it is? Sounds like ileus intestinal blockage. How's the doctor responding? He says he needs to operate right away. He's looking for an assistant. Right now, he's just trying to tide him over. His belly is swollen out like this far, like a drum. I want to speak with the doctor. The patient needs to be treated before he becomes prostrate. I don't think they'll listen to you, the way you look. You dispose of his refuse, don't you? Let me see his vomit. Will you bring it here each time he throws up? Delightful. With the intestinal blockage and the spasms, digested material can't pass through the bowel movement, and the bowel movement stops. As a result, the material gets vomited back up instead. In time, when the material built up in the intestines begins to decompose, gases are released, causing the patient to swell up like a drum. Serious cases can lead to dehydration, prostration, and even death. He's in danger. The patient needs immediate abdominal surgery, but I wonder if the old man can take it. If it's too late to operate, we can at least release the gas through a synthesis. Some believe that drinking large quantities of water can clear the blockage. Here, he just vomited. Strange, very strange. How often has this patient vomited since he fell ill? About once an hour. He doesn't eat, but he throws up. Has a doctor tried a blood test? I don't know. He's working alone. He seems overwhelmed. Tell him to get a hemogram. Got it. Hey, how's the elder doing? He needs surgery immediately or he'll die. Of course they ignore him. Is that him? He can speak? Please be careful, he's very violent. He may bite. Hello there. His blood count showed high levels of leukocytes, but his body temperature is low. It's not Ilias, is it? Who are you? Folks say you're a dog man. With Ilias, the vomit begins to smell like feces. After a while, when the patient has nothing else left to vomit, it begins to heave up the contents of the colon, which contain indole and scatole. I know, it's only been a day since the pain began. Then how do you explain the rise in the leukocytes? What's your diagnosis? Pancreatic necrosis. Acute pancreatitis. Are you a doctor? This is a surprise. There's no time for that now. If we don't operate immediately, the patient will become prostrate. Free him at once. But doctor, what are you waiting for? The man is a fine doctor. Let him bathe. Show him to the valley. Do you have any soap? Sterilize some clothes with some boiling water. Oh, good, you're out. Open wide. If you don't mind my asking, have you ever treated pancreatitis before? I'm afraid I haven't. I've only been practicing 4 years. What about pancreatic cancer? Afraid not. I knew it wasn't cancer since there was no cachexia. The pains wouldn't have started so suddenly either. This calls for surgery. Get everything ready. Confirm the focus. But I'm an internist. I'm not much of a surgeon. I'm an internist too. But if this is acute pancreatitis, we have to operate. We'll do what we can. We can't work in these conditions. Ask them if there's a cool cave somewhere in the valley. They say there's one in the recess of the mountain. Good. We'll need to carry him there. Out of our way. And they're blowing flutes. This isn't a festival enough with the music. Good, there are no bugs here and the temperature is reasonable. Set them down on that rock. Have them bring us enough food and water for 2 days and block up the entrance. We'll stay sealed inside with the patient. What? We have to do it to shut out the invaders. Not just animals. We can't even let an insect in here. Reika, will you stay with us? Villagers, during the op, we will need the cave sealed. I'd like you to block off the entrance right away. This isn't any sort of sorcery. It's a matter of safety. Please bring us enough food and water for 2 days. We need plenty of water in order to make steam. After 2 days, you can clear the entrance. Meanwhile, please send someone with all speed to fetch a surgeon from the hospital. We'll also need a pancreas medicine and cardiotonics. Make it a list. In 2 days, when they unseal the cave, if the old man hasn't made it, we're goners. No! Let me out. I don't want to be buried alive. Don't be afraid. 2 days will pass in no time. Please, Reika. Let's get started. Roll him onto his side. Now bend his back as much as possible. Insert it, the 4th lumbar vertebrae. Can you do it with those hands? Catheter. Inject xylocaine. Phew. Does this hurt? Can you feel this? You can't. Anesthetic is working. I don't know if I can do this. We have no equipment, have no expertise or experience, and the patient is an old man, no less. The odds are stacked against us. But if we don't operate, do you think he'll even last a day? If you weigh that against the risk, I'd rather gamble on surgery. I'll operate. You handle the bleeding, ligature, and suturing. All right? I'll now perform abdominal surgery to remove the pancreatic focus. The incision will bisect the upper abdomen, reaching the peritoneum and linea alba. I will open the gastrointestinal membrane, disengage the pancreas, and confirm what part needs to be excised. Reika, scalpel. Swab the blood. Forceps? Reika? Reika, what's wrong? Here, drink this. Pull yourself together. You have the courage to plunge in the hot boiling oil. It's just a 2-hour surgery. What's a little bit of blood? Sterilize your hands again. Make it snappy. Use the spare gloves. I'm going to sever the mesenterium, so I'll need ligature there and in the center. Too much effusion. Do we have a drain? Yes, but it's an outmoded one. That's fine. Use it. It doesn't matter so long as it works. Look. There are little gallstones here in the duodenum. This is the cause, but if we try to remove them all, we'll be here forever. Better to just take provisional measures, and the rest can be removed later at the hospital. The pancreas. Careful of the aorta. Here's some adhesion in the caudal portion. Let's remove it. Forceps. Pus basin. There. Just need a continuous suture. Drain and tamponade. Knock it off, you halfwit. You can't kill the dog man now. The elder and the doctor are in there with him. Let me go, Pa. You want to let that dog man have his way with the elder? I told you. We'll kill him as soon as we open the cave in 2 days. But Pa, I just can't take the sight of that dog man wearing people clothes and putting on airs. Bucktooth. Rural hicks are everywhere. So me and my pals are going to kill him right now. You fool, you might hurt the elder too. No! I'm doing this for the justice. We got to go in there and save the elder. Pulling away all the logs. At the same time they're suturing, finishing the suturing. Operation complete. You were wonderful. We did it. You did everything you possibly could. I'm grateful. Please perform the post-op exam. Oh, right. I was so excited I forgot about the patient. And what's the meaning of this? You mustn't come in yet. Get out. Silence, brute. Drop dead. Stop. Don't shoot. This man performed the surgery the old man needed. He saved the elder's life. Move it, Doc. If you don't get out of the way, you'll get yours too. Barbarians. We won't let you kill Kirihito. If you want to shoot, shoot me. Why you? Click. This. No. Don't. Don't you dare. Stop it. This man saved my life. Get out. I said out, damn it. You mustn't upset the patient in his state. No. Sir? His heart's failing. Massage his heart. It's too late. Even cardiotonics won't hurt. Won't help. His body went into shock from getting so worked up, on top of the stress from surgery. What have you done? You've killed the elder. Patient himself acknowledged that you did everything you could, doctor. Both Reika and I can vouch for that. No matter what, you needn't fret so. It's not the surgery I'm upset about. It's this face. Look at my face. As long as I look like a dog, I'm doomed to suffer an endless string of defeats like what happened today. If the villagers had seen me as a proper human being, that freak accident would have never occurred. It's true, isn't it? No matter where I go with this face, I'll never practice medicine again. This face. Your ability to take people's lives into their hands. It's judged on the basis of the appearance, your face. Your face and nothing more. When I think about it, even back at M University, people were judged based on appearances. Some were no better than pigs on the inside. I tend to be a little bit more optimistic. I think it's just a matter of time before you gain the villagers' trust and respect. There are lots of people who will take your side too. My father was a surgeon. I helped him with his work ever since I was a brat. Though I specialized in internal medicine, I learned my surgical skills from him. Medicine is all I know. If you take medicine away from me, what have I left? Where did you go, Reika? No good. You have to run, get out of here as quick as you can. At the village gathering, they decided to kill you after all. To avenge the elder, they said. The young crowd just wouldn't listen to the older folk. Fools! They'll be coming after you any minute now. Use this gun. I swiped it off to fend them off. We'll sneak out the back. Watch out! This way! So Sanai tried to save a life, and now he's having to take several lives just to save himself. And he recognizes the contradiction. I killed 2 men. More incredible detailed renderings. I called ahead. I'm sending an important patient to Dr. Jansen of the Netherlands National Hospital. It's extremely urgent. A freight plane departs in 30 minutes. May I see the ticket and documentation? Patient suffering from congenital deformities to be admitted to Amsterdam University Hospital for plastic surgery. Where is the passenger? I can't verify his identity like this. You have to remove the bandages. I'm afraid that's not medically possible. I have permission from the travel bureau. Gate number 2. Dr. Jansen, is my mentor. I'm sure he will be of assistance to you and arrange for a valid passport. I'm sorry that that's all I'm able to do for you. Reika, I've told them that you're the accompanying nurse. And someone with a Hitler mustache, unless that's a shadow is watching. Hello there. So you'll be traveling on the freight plane. I am too. My, what happened to you? I'm Japanese. My name is Murakami. I'll be getting off in Beirut. Guess we'll be together until then. Poor fellow. What a creepy guy. Take care. Talk to me. You're different lately. You hardly speak. What do you think about all day? Those men? Got to put it behind you. It was self-defense. I go back and forth between here and Beirut several times a year. Those Arab guerrillas are really fearsome. We want to get taken hostage. But these freight planes are safe. They've got no reason to hijack a freight plane. I'm in the oil business, so I've got to be very careful with those guerrillas. After all, they're important clientele. Speaking of which, you've heard about the big conference in Tehran. OPEC's all in an uproar. I'm talking about the fuss over the Standard Oil of California, imposing a 5-year price stabilizing agreement. Saudi Arabia and Iran have already caved. That means my parent company has no choice but to sign on as well. Napoleon, anyone? No? Anyway, ever since OPEC hyped up the prices of crude, I've got to make nice with that lot. Shortcuts into profits. Now the president of Standard Oil has shown some guts. Cold really gets to me if I don't make any conversation. You know, Japanese trading companies have gotten crafty lately. Well, guess I'll try to catch some Z's. Reika, yes? Why did you come with me? You sure are a glutton for punishment. Are you hoping they can fix my face surgically? It won't happen. This face can never be fixed, even with the best techniques. I'm a hopeless case. I don't mind. I'm sticking with you to the end. Why? I'm sorry. I have zero interest with you in you as a woman. I know that. I'm an uneducated sideshow performer, a whore, and I'm sick. What's to like? That's odd. They should have served the meal by now. It's already 10. We haven't even had a cup of coffee. Look, we're landing. Is this the airport? That can't be. We're not supposed to reach Beirut until 12:30. I'll go have a word with the pilot. That's odd. Why hasn't he come back? Get out! What's going on? Where on earth are we? Frisk them. Remove those bandages. What are you hiding underneath? A brilliant ruse pretending to be a patient, obtaining a doctor's note, hiding the letter under your bandages? I said take them off. Stop that! This man is really ill. You'd best do as you're told. Is it human? That's what you get for taking his bandages off, you ignorant bandit. This man has a terrible disease. If you stare at him like he's some kind of freak, I'll poke your stupid eyes out. Murakami, what the hell's wrong with you? This is the man you meant when you radioed us about a passenger smuggling top-secret Israeli and U.S. Air Force documents? Well, I had a hunch. Thanks to you, this has all been a huge waste of time. Allah, is this a human being? What a hideous sight. It's the spawn of the devil. This is a bad omen. Let's kill him, boss. Kill, but I meant, anyone can make a mistake. Miss, we are commandeering this airplane. We'll drive you to a nearby village in the Jeep. Please pardon the inconvenience. You want me to drive this monster in a car? No way. I don't like this one bit. Shut up, and that's an order. This is all your fault. What do you have to say for yourself? What about poor Kirihito? That's enough now. Hush. I won't hush. Japanese are so repulsive, especially this worm. Kirihito is Japanese. And here comes a plane. Wait for me. Please don't leave me. Oh, please, I beg you, don't abandon me here. I have a wife and kids. I have business obligations. I can't die. Wait. We're going in the wrong direction. The Jeep came from over there, beyond those mountains in the desert. I fly over this area all the time, so I know. This road runs parallel to the oil pipeline, in the opposite direction from the mountains as the town of Palmyra, which I think is the ancient town in Syria. In other words, if we walk towards the peaks, we'll get deeper and deeper into the uninhabited wastelands. This way, trust me. I know from experience and intuition, these are the guerrillas' supply lines. Attacks like that happen all the time. I've lived through 7 or 8 of them in just my day. Basically, government troops patrol this pipeline every half hour. It's only supply route for the Rebs. That's how the government sees it. But the guerrillas send out decoys to distract the authorities and draw their fire. Why isn't there a single road sign? Because the Rebs pull them up, and the soldiers mow them over. The ones that suffer in the end are innocent travelers. That's odd. We should have come to the juncture of the road by Palmyra by now. Maybe it's just a little further down. Rocks, and more rocks. This can't be. That tall peak on the right is Mount Hermon. So that has to be the Tripoli Homs Valley. That makes this the inland side. I calculate that the road should be intersect with the Roman highway in about 80 kilometers. 20 kilometers before that, there should be a state waterworks facility. For one thing, when I see this area from the sky, there's always a big natural gas fire. Where did I go wrong? Maybe dead end? It's not my fault. It's because there are no road signs. It's a blast of guerrillas. What do we do, Kirihito? If you don't want to dry up in the sun with a dog at your side, keep walking. Why do you have to talk that way? There are feral dogs that roam this area at night. You're nothing but trouble, you know that? Get out of my sight. I'm a murderer, don't abandon me. I may be trouble, but you're a murderer. Shut up. Stop. Stop that. You've really changed. You're like a wild animal. That's right. Go ahead and say it. Or does this face make you bite your tongue? I'm an animal, a dog. I belong with a bitch, not with the likes of you. Please now, be reasonable. What? Late. Hey there, help me! Help me! She was in her final month of pregnancy. The shock of being shot caused her to give birth. Is it alive? It's dead. No, it's alive. She's been dead around 3 days. Somehow the baby's managed to stay alive. He's limp with hunger. He's dying. Would she have any breast milk? He can't drink that. She's starting to rot. Well, are you suggesting we leave him to die? Leave him to die? We don't even know if there's 3 of us will survive. How can we care for a newborn baby? So you just want to just sit and watch as this baby gets as weak as a kitten and slips into death. No, I don't intend to watch. I'm getting out of here. You put that baby down and do the same. This guy is such an opportunist. Although I can't say I disagree. Kirihito! What are you doing? You're going to kill him. I've already killed 2 people. I can kill a 3rd. Stop, Kirihito. Give me the baby. If I don't, he's only going to starve to death. I'm putting him out of his misery. That's all I can do. Have you forgotten you're a doctor? Look, come here. Look at this. This is how the baby survived. Dew. The mother's feet are wet. The dew settled in on her cold body. The heat from the torch brought the dew. The baby licked it to slake his thirst and managed to stay alive. You are about to kill this baby, who is fighting so hard to stay alive. Reika, gather as much dew as you can in a dish. We'll do everything we can. And that's the end of Necrosis, which was a much longer chapter. Probably going to run out of gas with this one. Chapter 13, At the Bazaar. And if this is still with the Sanai and Reika, then this is the Syrian sun really beating down on them, and it is. With opportunistic businessman who tried to sell him out, and a newborn baby whose mother was shot in the head. The businessman is about to die of thirst. The baby is dying of thirst. And Reika and Asanai are struggling. He's breathing funny. Sometimes he stops for a whole minute. I'll have to keep him alive until we get to town. Don't give up. We've come this far. Just another half day. Just keep him alive that much longer. A half day? I'll never make it another half day. Quit your whining. You think we're here to take care of you? The only reason we let you stay is that you speak Arabic. What is it? He's dead. Give him to me. And he's got flies all over him. Damn. 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 There was nothing I could do. I couldn't do anything to keep the baby alive. Some doctor I am. Look at me. Look how wretched, impotent, and pathetic I am. What good am I, a doctor, without medicine and equipment? I'm just powerless. A human being. I can't do anything. If only doctors were like Christ, with the power to revive the dead just by touching them, or to heal the sick. We diddle a dozen years in school and still depend on medicine and equipment to do our jobs. We even charge people money with no guarantee that they'll get better. Doctors are useless. Human garbage. Kirihito, stop. Don't touch me. What did you tell me? Not to kill a baby that was trying to live while the baby died. Do you still say that I shouldn't have killed it? Well, we'll bury him here. No, I'll carry him back to civilization. I don't want him to be alone out here. Have it your way. Water! Water, I say! Water! Water! Glug, glug, glug. Lap, lap, lap. Sixpence. Cripes, my jacket. My jacket had money in it, but I left it there somewhere. Do you guys have any change? Not a red cent. That water wasn't free, mister? You really don't have any? Not a pence? Not 1 pence? I'm Japanese, right? Japanese, understand? If you lend us money, I'll pay it back to you double. Japanese. Hear that? They're Japanese. Completely penniless, no less. Maybe we should wring their necks and feed them to the camels. Uh-oh, run. Another incredible rendering. And she buries the baby in a hole. Done. Why don't you offer a prayer too? What good do you think that'll do? You think money will rain down from the sky? It's just a matter of time before we wither up and die. Don't you get it? I'm saying that if you can just contact the consulate, I can have money sent here in a heartbeat. Yeah, I get it. But if you want to use the phone, you pay first. Everyone in this town is an opportunist as well. Everyone wants money for everything. I'm begging you, let me make the call. I'll be eternally grateful. Nobody wants your eternal gratitude. Kicks him out. I've had it. You'll be sorry for this. So they won't even let you make a phone call without paying first? Everything's about money. Money! Money! These blasted stingy misers. Anyway, if we don't get our hands on some dough, we won't be able to eat, let alone get out of this place. Are they really that uncharitable? Come to think of it, the moment you mentioned you were Japanese, they turned very chilly. Anti-Japanese sentiment. What on earth did you guys do to them? When the OECD demanded that crude prices be raised and Japan had to go along with it, Libya ignored the other Arab nations and offered Japan a cheap deal on crude. I was thinking Palmyra was in Syria, but perhaps it's in Libya. It certainly was partially destroyed by ISIS. Japanese trading companies jumped at the offer and blew off their other trading partners in the Arab world. That meant that their branches over here were closed down, the workers laid off. We did what we had to do. I guess that's why they hate us now. I suppose that what we did was a little harsh, but who would have thought they would take it so badly? In any case, we've got to get some cash. Sorry, we don't sell on credit. You want a free ride? You won't find it here. You want to eat? Then pay up first, Japanese man. Filthy Japanese. Well, they're getting the flip side of discrimination from the Arab population. Just a moment, miss. You want to make money, right? I can find you some Johns with deep pockets. I'm waiting. Anytime you're ready, I'll get you work. And they see something. Kirihito! Kirihito, this is it, our chance for you to show him your stuff. There's a child down the road with stomach pain. They've sent for a doctor from the next town. Go now, show him that you're a doctor. You can earn some money, you'll also earn the respect of the village. Please, Kirihito, please go. No! No! I can't. I can no longer cure people. What are you talking about? Just because you were unable to save a person or two, you've lost all confidence? I cannot do it. Believe in yourself. Kirihito, I can't do it. No. No. They'll just die on me. Don't make me. I just can't. Coward. I'm no longer a doctor. Leave me alone. Stay away from me. I see. That's too bad. All right, then. Why, hello there, missy. Come to earn some dough? Right this way. All you have to do is sleep with the men I bring in. Just for that, I'll hold 20 shillings. Where did Reika go? I asked you where Reika went. Don't stop her. I'll tell you, but you gotta promise not to interfere. What? Reika! Get out! I'll kill you if you touch my Reika again. Well, it's a monster! Well, for the first time he's shown some real caring for Reika. They have been through an incredible amount in a very short time. And now here's some harem girls, some belly dancing perhaps. Or and a sword swallower. Absolutely not. I knew you'd be angry, but just think about it. If you could swallow your pride for 3 hours, we'd rake in a pile. Yeah, from just performing on the street as a dog man. You want to make a spectacle out of me? That's right, I'm talking about a spectacle. It's the only way to make some money. If you can think of something else, please be my guest. You want to charge people to look at my face. When the lady tried to raise some cash, you got in the way. Nobody wants to give us work. Today's the bazaar. People are gathered there from all around. If we miss this chance, we'll never get any money. I know you hate me for this. It's unbearably painful for you. But if we get some money, we're out of here. It's only a temporary embarrassment. Once we're out of here, you can forget all about it. Get lost. Hits him in the butt with a rock. You'll never be a businessman if all you can think about in a life and death situation is your pride. Shut up. What's wrong? Nothing? Look at all the food I collected. Everyone's generous when there's a fair. Reika, you think that people would give us money if I went on and displayed myself as a freak? What are you saying? Make a laughing stock of yourself? When people's lives are at stake, they have to do things they wouldn't usually do. That Murakami guy was right. This is no time to be thinking about pride. You mustn't. You've got to respect yourself. You're a doctor. If someone's going to put on a spectacle, it should be me. Don't be ridiculous. Have you forgot? I have an act. I could draw a huge crowd on a day like this. That sounds dangerous. Sounds iffy. I'll do it if we go 50-50. That's fine. Can you get everything ready? Right away before the crowd thins. We'll need a big pot full of oil, breadcrumbs, water. Make a spoon big enough to hold a person. A human spoon? That's gonna be pricey. What are we, deep frying? Me. Oh, ho, ho, ho. What's all this? Step right up, greatest show you've ever seen. Oh, we're just not frying donuts here. That's right, a woman. A live woman, deep fried. You can't be serious. Yes, sirree. One human tempura coming up. How's it look, missy? That's fine. Just remember to pull me out in 15 seconds. Longer than that is dangerous. Don't worry. We'll have 5 men on that lever. Sure, sure. When you look at the crowd, this is really something. Like moths to a flame. Okay, light the fire. We'll start in 20 minutes. Say, he's gonna deep fry a woman in there, golden brown? And the woman survives, must be rigged or something. Of course it is. Jabber, jabber, jabber. Reika, this is dangerous. Come now, I've been earning my keep with this act for 20 years now. I'm no amateur, okay? Yes, but you said you almost died a number of times. Kirihito, I put myself on the line through my work, just as you do as a doctor. Listen, when we get some money, you can get out of here. Go to that Dutch hospital. I can hardly wait. It's time. Look at the turnout. I don't remember how this ends, but this seems like a terrible idea. Something could be different just about the batter. The timing. Everything was perfected when she was doing this for the big boss on Taipei, but this is a whole new thing. And so far, everything Kirihito Asana has touched has turned to mud since he's been a dog, so this is looking grim. May Allah bless all of you who gathered here. Introducing the human tempura. I will now plunge a young lady of unparalleled beauty into a giant pot of boiling water you see before you and fry her to a golden crisp. And yet, the tender flesh of this young maiden will be completely unscathed. Is he fatter than me? She will be delivered from the oil back to the world of the living, an extraordinary daredevil act. Best of all, there's absolutely no trickery, no smoke or mirrors. Come, travelers. This is a sight you won't want to miss. It's a human tempura. Greet the lovely Princess Reika of the East. Dig into your pockets, ladies and gents. Thank you, thank you. This is great. If we do this a few more times, I'll be a millionaire. Reika, you're on. Coming. And I think they're stunned a little bit by the nudity. And she does her contortionism. Not yet. And into a tight ball. She said she had to do. Perfect ball or anything sort of penetrating the batter would be burnt off. And into the dough. And into the hot oil in front of a stunned crowd. Hush. 11, 13, 12, 13. Now lift her out. Ooh. Kirihito watching and watching. Crack. Splash. No! Reika! The handle of the giant spoon, or giant spatula I should say, broke, and she landed back in the hot oil. Quick, hurry, get her out! Pull the scaffold! Pull her out! Sizzle, sizzle. Reika, you bastards! Yikes. A monster. Now he sees him for the first time. Everyone's running. And the tempura ball is scorched, burnt. This can't be good. His hands are burning. Reika. And basically, just as he expressed his caring for her, he loses her. And also, after he had refused simply to take his hood off and show himself as a dog man to get the money, she put her life on the line. And more tragedy. And that's the end of chapter 13. And that will conclude this reading, part 3. And I'll be back with part 4 soon enough. I hope you have been listening to the first 2 parts and enjoyed this part as well. Sorry for some of the mistakes and the misreadings that inevitably happen when you're trying to read this live and scrolling down at the same time. And sometimes I read words before I should, and sometimes I misread and make little mistakes here and there, which I know is frustrating, but I do my best. And so thanks again, and please comment if you're enjoying this at all, or like. I'm not even going to say subscribe, but thanks very much, and I'll be back soon with part 4. Thanks again.